A controversial national transgender nonprofit announced this week it will stop all direct service programming. Gender Spectrum operated in 48 states and reportedly provided thousands of schools with training and materials on how to secretly transition students. Well, joining us this morning to discuss is Parents Defending Education's Erika Sanzi. Welcome back to the National Desk. Good morning to you. What did you make of this announcement?
It was definitely a strange announcement in the sense that the announcement came out on September 25th, posted to Instagram, and also it came in people's emails. And it was saying that within 2 days, they were shutting down all of their direct services programming, but without any explanation as to why. So this was very abrupt. But it's hard to overstate what a big deal this is because Gender Spectrum was so embedded into the K-12 school system in this country. We saw them cited all the time as a source for bathroom policies, for gender, just transgender student policies more generally. They had templates of gender support plans, which again was where, students had accommodations, and those plans also were allowed to be kept completely confidential from the parents. So this is a big deal. And also one other thing is that they just worked so closely with a lot of national associations of educators, so school counselor associations, principals, superintendents. And so this is a big deal. We don't have a ton of information, but certainly they must have, something must have happened that made them realize that they needed to that they'd be wise to shut down.
I could not find a lot of articles explaining this, but I did check out their website. It does state they're going to continue to maintain a web-based hub for resources and referrals. Your organization says that Gender Spectrum was a huge proponent of schools withholding information from parents about their children. How much of that issue played into this, do you think?
So again, we don't know because they didn't give a reason, but certainly the Gender Spectrum was, again, one of the organizations that felt that the minor child should be the one making all of the decisions. And so if the child were telling the school, my parents don't know, I don't want them to know, then the parents were totally kept in the dark. Again, I don't know why they shut down. There's not much information, but it is very possible that some of these advocacy organizations are just seeing there's lawsuits across the country. My organization at Parents Defending Education, we filed 2 lawsuits against school districts in Iowa and Ohio, but we see also lawsuits coming from parents, and even a lawsuit out of California where the plaintiffs were teachers who were saying you can't require us to withhold information and deceive parents. Again, there's no reason to speculate that Gender Spectrum felt that they were maybe carrying too much liability or whatever, but to announce on the 25th and have all your stuff stripped from your website that day and then be sort of done 2 days later, something's going on.
Speaking of lawsuits, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey filed a lawsuit against a school board in that state, the Wentzville School Board, he says, because they illegally concealed transgender bathroom policy behind closed doors and not in a public meeting. So tell us about Missouri's open meeting laws and why this is so important.
I mean, I can't speak to the specifics of the open meetings law, but generally speaking, you're not supposed to be having discussions about policies behind closed doors. There's very specific reasons why you can go into executive session, which means that, the public isn't there, and discussing a policy like this would not be one of them. And so this is also very concerning because essentially what happened was some of the board members were saying behind closed doors, we can't have a formal policy because this would make us a lightning rod for litigation. Another one was saying the parents have no right to know. And luckily, 2 other board members felt totally uncomfortable with this, and they became and they pushed back. But then they became whistleblowers in this lawsuit in the state of Missouri, basically saying that, again, this is a violation. You cannot keep the public in the dark about processes and policies that are going to affect the public directly.
What can parents do in these types of situations?
Well, 40 parents, it appears, signed on to the lawsuit in Missouri. So that's one sort of major step. It's just important to, again, be be holding their feet to the fire. I mean, I served on my elected school board 10 years ago. And I think that a lot of school boards are just not used to the level of scrutiny that they're getting right now. But the reality is, transparency is a good thing. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And parents should just be demanding that there's transparency in these processes, and it is a sign of a sickness when people on a school board are basically saying, we can't talk about this in public. It's too controversial of an issue, because really those are the topics that are the most important for public discussion.
Yeah. And these are public officials that are elected for public school education paid for by taxpayer dollars. Parents Defending Education's Erika Sanzi, thanks for joining us this morning. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks, Jan.